We must voluntarily seek God in our hearts. And not just, where's God? No, it's just in the heart. Somehow, it's in the heart. The heart is crying. And it is not something solid. It's not something tangible. It's not anything you can explain. Do you understand? It's not something you can talk about.
You don't even know that
you don't even know you have the cry. That's right. You don't even know, but you have a sense of there's something wrong with everybody in the world. And you used to judge everybody. Now you're looking at yourself. Maybe it's me too. Mm-hmm. And maybe they've got the same problem as me. See, and they're doing to me what was done to them. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Even those people who were putting nails in his hands and feet, he didn't hate them because they didn't know what they were doing completely, thoroughly and completely. This is Sunday Morning Conversations, welcome. And we have a small audience here. We have a beautiful ranch, absolutely magnificent. So when all hell breaks loose, you better come up here and we're ready for you. As a matter of fact, before all hell breaks loose, you need to come up to this little area which God has led me to come to. I'll tell you a little story about that if you want to. Well, just for something you never heard before, perhaps. I was in Los Angeles doing a nice business, if you can call this a business. And lots of people came. But when I first started bringing what I had learned over the last, I'm talking about 1960, so you go back further, 6 years. So I discovered how to cure everything, about 95%, even including wars, if you can get enough people to understand and to grasp what I'm saying. And what I will say here this evening. But one night, I had a dream, and I remember my brother was with me at that time, so we go back way long way away, and he had a Nash car, a crummy car with a strange kind of roof that you maybe you remember them. I'm not a car guy really, even though I have old-fashioned cars. I'm still not a car guy. And so all of a sudden it was. Oh dear, what was it? It was, what's the name of this area?
The Rogue.
The Rogue River. It was, all of a sudden, something, I had a dream, and I saw my brother in this car for some reason. That's what it makes me remember it. I don't remember the rest of the dream, it didn't mean a thing. But something kept saying to me, Rogue River, Rouge River, Red River. I saw a movie that had the name of that, Red River, but I just it kept on telling me, Rogue River, Red River. And why is that? I have several dreams, and it kept on saying, I didn't even know where that was. So I had a little a fight with my second in command. And so I fired him and gave him 6 months' pay. And Bob McQuain, he died some years ago from betrayal. I'm sorry to say. But the point is, I gave him money, and he came up north. So he became a chimney sweep, and then he became a real estate. Okay. And then he said, there's a nice a nice place up here for what you always wanted to do, help kids. And it's a ranch. So would you like to come up and see it? So I did. And I liked the place. And it was very inexpensive, 400 acres, $390, 2030, you know. So I said, okay, but I had to wait in line for three other people ahead of me. All wanted to buy it. Famous movie star, cowboy, John Wayne. Yeah, he was part of this. So I liked it and went home. And then all of a sudden I got the news. I bought it. And we turned it into a sort of like a program for broken kids. And most of them still live in this, married and children. I don't see them anymore, but the point is, I had some, when I finally came up here, it was a tremendous fuss with, with the news and everything, because I'm Jewish, and this is a Ku Klux Klan town just emerging from its Ku Klux Klanness. See, so excuse me, I didn't know this was Rogue River. See, I didn't know. And what's this area? Is this Rogue River? Rogue Valley, yes. There's Rogue River, Rogue Valley. But see, there it was. And so it took a year and a half before I found out where I was. I was just coming backwards and forwards. And then I discovered this area, there's only 3 places in the world which is fallout proof. That's right. I did. One's in Russia, this one's here, I don't know where the other one is. Excuse me. But here we are.
What's fallout proof?
Fallout means you have a nuclear war, doesn't touch you. They're not going to drop a bomb here, I don't think.
There's nothing here to bomb.
Nothing here to bomb. Except me. I'm an abominable. I'm anti-abominable. Oh, did I say that right? You'll get it right for me. My lips don't work as good as yours. She's a woman, no wonder. So here I am. But my prediction, meanwhile I was predicting awful things to come. So 55 years I was bombarded by the left-wing press. But meanwhile, I could see the future. At some point, I bought this ranch about 25 years ago. Is it 25 or 30 years ago? I forget. About 30, isn't it? And that's how we started. See, and I'm glad I did. Then I sold the building that I was in Grants Pass, knowing that it wouldn't be easy up here. But I didn't know how bad it would have been. It had been because I got all kinds of death threats and God knows what. And it's a long story. But it's all coming true. And I do recommend, I've got a school, a beautiful school right in the middle of town. I mean the best facilities. I paid, whatever money I had, I paid for that too. It's really going well. The children are getting a decent education, no pressure, no left-wing nonsense. And so they've left me alone. But I don't have a big audience here. I have a big audience out there. But this audience is very loyal. We have about 100 people that come and go. And the beauty of this is I don't build. If I was in Los Angeles, where I was very, very popular and difficult for the media, because I understood the left, I understood the communism that was taking us over. I understood it as that because I wasn't a political person. I only was there to share. I came from Houston, where I learned over the 6 years previous to this 1960 what was wrong with the human race. Everybody. There's not a person who lives their own life that doesn't exist, except with a few people who have it, but they can't explain it. All the famous people who did good things, and they had such renown that we still remember them to this day, as many of them. They were admired for it, but they couldn't, and with their presence and the admiration and the effect that admiration had on people, they were able to pull us through. But the people didn't have it in themselves. They had it only in themselves to see it and to follow, which is a good thing. When the person dies, when Washington dies, etc., etc. You see what's happened? Slowly but surely, we got better and better and better and better for a while. It was not a struggle. Eventually, World War II comes, and then you had a rally, and we proved ourselves, and we became a better person, and we got rid of the what they call it, the black and white problem.
Segregation.
What am I looking for?
Segregation.
Not segregation.
Racism.
Huh?
Racism.
No, not racism. Yeah, that'll do.
Discrimination.
Yeah, discrimination and cruelty like that. It's different. It's all come back again. Slowly but surely, we've become feminized. Men have become feminized. When you start to have sex, when you start to teach the kids in the schools, and to moralize them and put socialism into their heads without them realizing what's going on is a big thing. The music also, everything's compromised. So I began to, from the very beginning, for about 2 or 3 years, I didn't know why I was being attacked. I thought, what a wonderful thing is, I have learned how to overcome every single problem on earth as it is in heaven. I realized after some time in the Institute of Hypnosis where a Christian lady came in one day, and I wasn't Christian, I was Jewish, I wasn't anything really. But I said something to her about her serious anxiety, which Christians have like everybody else, because they're not Christian enough. That's what's wrong with America. We're not Christian enough because you've got so many different little bits and pieces everywhere with their own leader. You see, so Christianity's broken up, and they all have different monikers. Baptist, or whatever. I've got the whole array of them, and Catholic. It's all different, but so therefore we are. The Christians are divided, see, but the communists are not. And so, and Christianity was not as good as it was supposed to be. People used to say to me, do you know Jesus? Lots of times. I said, where is he? He says, he's inside you. I said, well, could you show me what inside means? I see, this Christian, we could win this. If I'm jumping the tracks here now, I'm going into what I want to say from here. It's a lot, because otherwise it's a long story. But we can survive if I could get people to get off the drugs, because we're all mostly people on drugs, and even ordinary people on drugs for illnesses that it's keeping them alive, but hopefully long enough to be able to see what's wrong with them? Not to live off those drugs like we have, and to preserve our faulty lifestyles. So now it's beginning harder and harder to talk to people. So I used to go 60 miles to Los Angeles and 60 miles back when we had old-fashioned kind of technology, But I had a homemade device where I have a delay, and I had an office, and I did my program from the office in Los Angeles, and it became very, very powerful and very influential, and I got tremendous feedback on it in the left. Only then did I realize, after just a few years, that left was communism, and I understood the communism because I understood hypnosis, and they were using hypnosis on the whole country. Now you see, to divide it, there were people who resist it to the best they can. As a Christianity type of person, and you think Jewish people would be more grateful. The Jewish people in Israel are different from the Jewish people here. So they have voted for Obama, didn't realize. See? They didn't have the strength, and they didn't have the courage and the strength that the Jewish people in Israel have, with all those bombardments and all those rockets. And they become a different people. They have a different situation. They become hardened and strengthened, but the ones who come here tend to be liberals. Jewish people tend to be liberals. So they were Jewish. I've got a Russian friend, kind of a friend. I don't converse with him a lot, but he likes to call me. I only seen him once. And for years and years, he's a Russian. I thought he was a spy, and he probably is. But I just talking to him, playing with him, because he wants to know, how do you know all this? And so one of these days, about not just the meditation I'm doing, he wants to know the physics. And one day I gave him a little clue. He said, how do you know that? How do you know? It makes sense. And I gave him a little story, how I knew, but I wouldn't tell him too much. And he is basically a Russian, and he is a spy. See, but I'd still talk to him. See, and he gives me information. I get more information from him. I turned him into the authorities. I have connections, so I just let them know why I'm talking to them. And I think he listens to what this program said he listens, so he needs to know it by now. I know where he's coming from, see. Oh dear, well, so where am I going to go with this? The thing is that the big cities are dangerous. They're full of idiots. And I've had conversations with my friends here, with the ones I know have lots of common sense. I have lots of people with lots of common sense, and they've all seen it coming, and now they really, really see it and coming. But the people in the inner cities, they're walking around in a hypnotic state, and they have a strange new norm. Strange norm. Drugs, alcohol, parties, all kinds of pleasures, no restraint. And so they hear the news, and they can hear about ISIS and Schmisis, and it doesn't seem to bother them a bit until it's too late. They won't see communism. We are now a communist nation. We are now presently a communist nation. You've got about 13 months or whatever it is. How many months is it, as from today, till the new elections? There won't be one. It'll be martial law. It's over. He's got all these people in position. Right is wrong, wrong is right. Can you see it? The media covers. Now the police are on defensive. I know how to show all those people how to win this war. Remember, I started off by saying I discovered something, how to cure everything, including war. I don't have to be a general. I can't fight the war. If it becomes a war, it's too late. What I'd like to do is prevent it. That's my job. And over and above that, if I could get enough people in this country, especially the military, and the people who are most of the people are armed in this country, right? Most people are 300 million guns. See, so they're not going to win, but it's going to be terrible disaster. Terrible. I mean, because when we go clashed against each other, that's what they want. They're intimidating us to make the first move. You understand that? Yes. And now you begin, excuse me for being a little bit holding back in my discussion with you. I didn't know where to start, and I think I know where to finish now, is that it's not just you that are getting better and like to come and visit this beautiful ranch, which can hold 50 people. I need to reach more people. I need to, and I've got 150 stations, but I don't get as much reaction as I did when I had one. Because American people are thick. I mean, they're nice people, don't get me wrong, they're nice. Not nice enough. But the point is, those who are ISIS and schmisis, excuse the expression because it covers a whole lot, and I don't have a dictionary, with the different cults and groups and different whatever it is. There's names for all those different crazy people. They're all murderers. And so what you're dealing with is people who are perfectly possessed. There's no cure for them. You've got to kill them or they're going to kill you. They're like Nazis, but worse. So nobody's born that way. And you weren't born with your problems. And it's enough with your problems that you want to kill somebody sometimes, and sometimes you want to kill yourself. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. You have enough conflict. You have enough conflict with yourself. Now, the Commander-in-Chief has created, slowly but surely, people who create problems rather than solve them. And that's what you're looking at with falling apart. And teachers that destroy the children's mind. And I would scream, please don't send your kids to school. Please, to public school. Please, please, please don't do that. Get Ritalin and Prozac. Please don't. This is not the way. What's the matter with you people? Slowly but surely, they left the kids up to, the kindergarten teacher, and now we got 80% divorce rate, almost 80% divorce rate. No fathers, no grandfathers. All they got is women, and women elect security, government. Too bad. And that's what Hitler said. You get the women, and that's what you got to do. Before you could get rid of the men, and it's easy to do because they always fight with each other, and you give the women rights, and not the men. It's correct. Women have the rights. The idea that they can bring up children better than men. It's the absolutely opposite way. You bring up feminist children, so that a huge population of men are feminine and conflicted with their femininity. You got one, what's his name, who's turned himself into a real woman. You know it, because I don't remember people's names. They're just people doing things. He's a mutilated man, that's all he is. He's not a woman. But look, how much excitement, look how much interest. Homosexuality, premarital sex, no-fault divorce, all exits. Glorify women, men are just sperm donors. And so that you brought up a generation of women infected men. Am I correct? Mm-hmm. You can hardly find... I've talked to my friends, and you can hardly find a real woman. They're there. And every now and then you hear them on my radio show, and getting better. There's one, there's another one. Maybe there's others listening. I don't know. But the income is smaller and smaller because you can't hear. 150 stations. The stations like it because they like to be at... People may be listening and getting benefit, I don't know. But the stations are beginning to give me time as a commercial. I'm not... They can give the foundation, I can't give to them. It's my show. But they get benefit from it because locally they get commercials. They give commercials, and I encourage the retailers to do business with the station because of the graciousness of that station. And so it looks like I'm going to be the last man standing because the whole of talk radio is disappearing. But they were being defunded. That's why you can't hear Rush Limbaugh. He's going away. All of us are going to, except me. I'm going to be babbling. If I could just keep enough money coming in. That's all I care about. Because otherwise it's for me to hightail out of here one of these days. Who lives and runs away lives to fight another day. See? Because there's more of them than there is of me. But here, for a little while, we could make a stand. It's only going to be happening in the big cities. And if you're in a big city, you're finished. See, here, the place could be closed off, 3 exits. I know all about that. And it's well known. Prison camps are being built everywhere. I used to be I'm still a friend of the former sheriff. And he says it's true. They're being built. And he's got his own, he wants to get rid of the police and create his own police force. So what do you think is happening? Why do you have those people coming across the border from countries way below Mexico, way below? They speak Mayan. They don't speak Spanish. See? Well, some of they come across the border, disappear, gangs. And he's going to deputize them. Do you understand what's happening? They're going after Texas first, because Texas is the one that you can rely on. They make a stand. We don't have to make so much of a stand here. This is a very special place. What was it? Rogue River? Red River. See? Yeah, I know, but it turned out to be Rogue River. But that is intuition. I'm drawn here so that I have less audience locally, because the local paper is liberal, and so they did me in with their reporting. It was horrible. Death threats everywhere. But anyway, I survived. And I may not get a big audience locally, because they don't need to come. Lots of my friends do. What do they need to come every week for? What do you need to come every week for? Maybe camaraderie. It's nice. You don't have to come to speak, for me to speak to you. You know what I'm saying. You understand it. You're living it. Some of you have listened to me for 30 years. And my friends here, a lady and a gentleman in the front. I don't think he wants to be photographed, do you? So, but the point is, I remember him with troubled times and disappeared. I didn't hear him for years and years and years, and then slowly but surely he comes and his life is getting better. It doesn't always happen at once, but something does have to happen at once. Get the hell out of a big city. If you have enough brains, listen, there's lots of, you can do your business on your internet here. A lot of businesses are internet based. I don't know, it seems like in wars, and you see a war situations, some part in the world, in the Far East, they seem to have iPhones, still working. It's still working. The business has to go on, you see. I suggest you move yourself, or you'll be stuck in that city. You'll never get out. Especially if you're not armed, they'll come in and kill you. That's what you're looking for. You want to hear it? That's what you're looking for. In other words, we have a hypnotized nation. We have a hypnotized Christianity, which is, they're good and polite and as good as a person can be without salvation. See, but not good enough. But the enemy is bad, but absolutely bad. See, we need to be absolutely perfect. We must be perfected soon, not later. There's no time left, because you're going to be paralyzed with fear for what you're about to see. You're going to die from fear. You're going to crumble. You see, something's taken me over a little bit. My hospital fiasco has not yet worn off. And they almost killed me there. I don't want to go into that right now. But what is going to happen to this country is this: civil war, intimidation. Now, let me just make something clear. I'm no coward. So, when you see the rabble smashing windows and burning businesses, if I was in there, there wouldn't be one come out alive. And they couldn't touch me at this point. But if it goes on, wrong becomes right. See, it is true. It's a good and evil war, isn't it? So if it's a good and evil war, you better be good. You can't be just good enough. You can't be imperfect. Then you might say, well, who can be perfect? Nobody. The process of perfection is becoming perfect. Jesus says it clearly. Be ye therefore, it's a lousy translation, hate that stuff. Not hate really, but it not clear. It's not coming across like, lead us not into temptation. That's ridiculous. God doesn't lead you into temptation, and they hypnotically don't see it. No, don't question it. Lead us not into temptation? Is God the tempter? They don't see it, they recite it. Blah, 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 blah. And a few Hail Marys and it's all over. And you're off okay for another week. That's not good enough. We have to make a quick about turn. We only have about 15 months or so, as this, what's the date today?
June 14th.
Thank you. June 14th. And July 5th is my seminar in Los Angeles. I might mention it. Maybe my last one. I'll see if I can do well there. I'm all right now, but it's just 3 weeks I can recover from. I'm still recovering. So you'll bear with me. It's a little hesitant. I've got the spirit. I was here earlier than you were. All I needed was a little food, because I got little problems. Just need a little bit and I'm fine. So, I don't want to scare you. Actually, I do, but you have to become perfect. And what it means, let me focus my mind around that, focus it. It doesn't mean to say you're complete. Perfect to us means become. The word become. Who was it that used the word is?
Clinton.
Yeah. You played with the word is. What is was. I mean, the Bible doesn't play with you. It's just a matter of incorrect or not perfectly translated idea. As a matter of fact, most people read the Bible and learn it off by heart, and then get a good grade for performing like a good Christian when there's no Christian there at all. It's just an actor on the stage. William Shakespeare said it. He made a point. You can see Christians. This is a Christian nation. So now you can call me Christian if you want to, but see, Christian's still Jewish. He didn't come to start a new religion. He came to save you from all of them. I want you understand. You should dump your affiliation, not look to your preacher for inspiration, for rejuvenation from one week to another, reinforcement of a sense of worth. It's worthless. Going to church is. I like you coming here, but I talk about things that are essential. Today I'm not talking so much about what's really wrong, or can talk about that, and may get a little talk into that, what I mean by perfect. And so simple. So what is out there is intrinsically evil. And evil is running wild through America. We are a demoralized country with exceptions of a small percentage. And that small percentage, if it's big enough in its smallness, can save this country. Because one of me is worth 1,000 of them. One of you is worth 1,000 of them, because I'm not just me. If you find what I find, if you all could find and make up your mind and listen to what I have to say, it isn't difficult. I'm not asking you the impossible. I'm asking you to sit still and know that if let me use the first term, and know that as if you're reading it, but it's saying it to you, and know that I am God, and nobody else is, and you ain't, and nobody else isn't. The trouble is, we're born corrupted. We are corrupted into the culture into which we come, and we can't help inheriting crap of our parents. My wife is still struggling with it for 63 years. She's just beginning to see in her suffering, she's just beginning to see it. She's married to Roy Masters. That's not easy. So I can't put a distance between me and her. I can put a distance between her and me, but she doesn't know how to put a distance between me. See? Therefore, she's always struggling with me for her freedom. Isn't that right, Anne? See, I'm making points for you. See? So she's my wife. I can't hit her. Ooh. I'd like to. She'll often say, go hit me. Go hit me. See, things like that. But the thing is, women do that. How many women do that?
I don't remember.
Have you been married long enough?
I wished it.
You wish it. But a lot of not your kind of women, not likely. But it is everywhere like that. Women tend to want to set men up to fail. It isn't them. It's the woman. She's still Eve, and she produces a man. But the man that is produced from her body, from her being, man born of woman, is born from an imperfect sperm, and therefore is missing something and does not know what it is. And the culture, if you look at the culture everywhere, it's sex. It's drawn back to the woman to look for fulfillment from the woman, which is something more than just reproduction. See? It's something deeper as it comes to humans. The animals can't do it, it's just pop, 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 wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's all there is to it. See? We make this into a church of sex. Everybody, even the enemy, is dangerously, they can have a way with women we are not supposed to have here, but it's becoming here. Men are supposed to learn to deal with women with grace and look at them as you would have a man. If I'm a man, I have a daughter, and thank God she did it in the right way. See, but as a father, if men would stop for 1 minute, if they have any decency, they would not do to somebody else's daughter what he does for his own pleasure. But it isn't love, and marriage isn't love either. Don't think that it's sanctified because you're married. You can still have lust on the married bed, correct? See, so it's why you have eventually it creates terrible problems, because man gets into woman, woman gets into the man, and the devil has both of them. All the way through Paradise Lost, through one man's sin, and death through sin spread to the human race. Okay, we fought for our freedom. Millions of men died. American died, 500,000 you lost in your war. In England it was 1,500,000. See, because you came in late. Well, guess what 500,000 men is? It's 500,000 people die in hospitals every year because they're older people and they want to get rid of them. Do you understand? You're safer to stay at home than going to hospital. It's already, I think, if I give the wrong numbers, it's not far out. It's already news. If you're listening to, have your ear to the ground, it's already news that if you have a heart attack, you're safer if you stay home than if you go to the hospital by 10 times. And I experienced it. I won't go into it because I talked about it before. I don't want to. Now, what I'm trying to say is, if Jesus says, and Jesus is smart, intuitive, he says, how is it you can see the weather coming from far off, but you can't see the signs of the times? You don't understand what's overcoming you. The Jewish people are special, but in that they have the potential as a group. They survived all these thousands of years as a group holding together. And it was culture. But culture is not enough. It is a beginning. A church is a beginning. See, Judaism is a beginning. But because Judaism is not much different from a church, because the church is still teaching verses and chapters. There's no transcending beyond the verses and chapters. So you don't need the verses and chapters. Or you can flick through the Bible yourself and you don't need a preacher. Oh, I see that. I see that. I don't even need to open the Bible. The Bible's inside me, all of it. And with just a few words, and I just recently, a year or so ago, a trucker was listening to my program, and people get really shocked by some of the things I'm saying. Some have a bad effect, some people have a good effect. But he saw it. He said, look, I can't drive my car and truck anymore. I've got to pull over. I can't do it. I'm working 2 jobs. My wife gives me a hard time. My kids are useless. They're not disciplined. I'm stressed. I can't find the words. I can't have the. I don't. You see, if I had the feeling, I could say it. I don't have any. I'm not a man with feeling. I'm not a feeling person. Yeah, if you hit me in the face, I feel hurt, but I don't hate the hurter. So I don't have a feeling towards you if you did something wrong to me. I won't have a feeling if you torture me. I'll have a lot of pain, and I'll die, but I won't hate the hurter. I'm coming to see. So I'm saying lots of little pieces here, lots of little pieces. I don't know where I'm going with what I'm saying. It's not. I haven't prepared it. What I've said today, I haven't prepared for it. But I find myself saying it. It's got to be said. Get out of the big city before you cannot. You don't have enough water. You don't have enough food. It only takes a smaller number of people to close down a city. It only takes one bomb. There's just so many. And this place over here is safe. This is, I don't know what they call it, but it's sanctuary. Some kind of sanctuary. And we are self-contained in this little city. And you've got water, because most people have water from the local river, water from their pumps, water from, they have it. And so I live a little outside town, and I got a pump. I can save food, share food. But people will be coming here by the millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands. So we may have problems here, but they may not be able to get far. See, because you couldn't get it. You know what traffic's like in a big city? Yeah. Add panic. no food, they start killing each other. What we need is discipline. What we need to see this time to do like what I did. I got off from a cushy job, forgive me putting it that way. I was very popular, had enough money to do what I wanted, but that was just the beginning. But that was 30 years ago. Opportunity came. A voice said in my head, Rogue River, Rouge River, Red River. I didn't know where I was when I bought this area. It's beautiful. And beautiful people are making it even more beautiful. I've never had, in all my life, such a good staff. There's only a few. Some of them are good enough. Some of them are really good. See, and with that combination, all of them becoming, not perfect. I'm not perfect. I am perfecting through all the sufferings. See, there's no claim to virtue without pressure or temptation. So you're meeting the hypnotist. What you're meeting is the hypnotist. The hypnotist will intimidate you, take over your life. But the hypnotist is not, he's a bully. He's understood. Even a little kid can be a bully to his mother. How is that? All he has to do is be in the grocery store. I want this. I want that. I want a can of this. No. Okay, here. Shut up. Okay. And then, why do you, well, she's looking around, and this kid is screaming, and everybody's looking, and she's feeling uncomfortable, like she's not a good mother. She isn't. She should say, pardon me, I'm not going to let him have his way. So just go about your business. I'm not hurting him. And instead of doing that, and then the kid will shut up, she gives him a can of this, and a can of that, and a bit of this, and every time we give him something, he throws it away. What he wants is to be stopped. But only a man can do that. A woman can't do that until she has a man that can do it to him, to her. See? Now, I have problems in my family because I wasn't there a lot. So therefore, we got a lot of problems from my wife. Listen, this is not a criticism. It's a programming. So my kids are half them and half me. It's a good thing I'm alive. Otherwise, I don't know where she'd be. And the kids are still working with them. And everything's fine. So I'm a grandpa. There are no grandpas in the 80% of divorces. What kind of country you have? All of a sudden, the man is divorced because no fault divorce. And she goes off with the kids, and the kids belong to some stranger. What do you think? How do you think the kids feel? Especially when both of them are no damn good. We need a family. We need to understand family, and men need to learn how to be men. But a woman can't make a man into a man. He can turn into a woman. So he thinks if he degrades himself and mutilates himself, and everybody goes, oh, this man was such a woman, he had got so much woman in him, he thought there was a woman in a man's body. That's how hypnotized he is. And the more he struggled with it, because he felt as a child he wasn't man enough. And he wasn't. But being man enough by being a football star, whatever he was, I don't know, it doesn't make any difference. He did everything with great excellence, right? He got a great fame. He's still a woman inside. Now he's got the money to do it. Because he's not happy. He thinks if I could just become a woman. It's just the nature, it's the identity, and the stupid identity. And this identity now has become a mutilated man. And people going, oh, what a miracle. Wow, he's going to make more money. And people are fascinated with the perverse. And the perverse, it will take people like that, See what we can do. You could be anything you want. You can be a rotten egg, and pretty soon you know there's no fathers around, because men don't know how to deal with the women any more than Adam knew how to deal with Eve. It's the same thing over and over again. He doesn't. She tempts, especially when a woman serves the food. What do you think the food is? The food by the hand of the woman is the hypnotic, the hypnotic. There's a word for it in hypnotic.
Trance?
No, it keeps the hypnotic. It's a post-traumatic stress. It's a hypnotic suggestion. See, I haven't used it for such a long time. It's a hypnotic suggestion. It's a trigger. Every piece of food you put into your mouth is a post-hypnotic suggestion reinforced. And if you look at the food that people eat, the food is still the biggest problem of all. If you would learn, if you look at everything, there's two things you need to learn to do. They'll tell you, but they don't tell you how, so you can try all you want, and you won't succeed, you see. So you have to understand, just trying to diet alone, you can't do it. And sooner or later, you're going to give it up. And sooner or later, you're going to die trying. Because you still have a problem, even though you're eating the right food. You're not having the fulfillment of the pleasure of that food. You go to other pleasure, you become a drug addict. Or your problems still are there, and you have anxiety, you go to the doctor, and the doctor gives you an operation you don't even need. And blah, 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 blah. It gets too complicated for me to talk about. You're dead.
I have two questions for you.
I'm glad you... Would you like to stand?
Okay. On the food...
You're always the one that's saying some nice, interesting things these days. You are getting much better, aren't you?
A little bit.
You know, I think you're getting a lot.
My question is, I'm dieting right now, but I'm also trying to see the correlation between the food that I eat and eating it for God.
That's a very good question. What do you think?
I think I'd rather be dieting and try to understand things so I can be healthy than eating a piece of pizza and still wanting to understand the truth about food.
Yeah. It takes a little while to connect the food with Paradise Lost. But I assure you that, and everybody in this audience, and the audience that will hear this in a week or so when it's been edited just a little bit, because we don't have the most perfect equipment, but we have very good technicians. It takes a little bit longer to edit something when you have the right equipment. We don't have enough money for that, see. But your question is flawless. It is the key. So I didn't say if the food is the key. Everybody eats, right? Everybody has to eat. But the way she posed the question, do you see the way she posed the question? Would anybody like, please, rather than me blabber, would somebody stand up and tell me what you saw? Anybody? Anybody? Or sit up, stand up, I don't care. Anybody want to could make a comment on it? Because if you can't, I can. Yes. Let's try. Yes, let's try. Yeah, you don't have to stand because you're sitting in the front.
Did you say, I just wanted to ask, clarify something. Did you say you would rather be eating a piece of pizza and be contemplating? What was the last comment that you made?
That I don't want to be eating a piece of pizza because one way or the other, I have to find out the answer to my question. So if I'm going to struggle with food, I'd rather eat good, dieting.
And have anxiety.
Because if dieting is wrong, I'd still rather be dieting and figure out my relationship between food and God than eating the pizza, and I still need to find out the relationship between me and
I
food
see.
and
If you
God.
keep eating your pizza or whatever it might be, and if you are, I can see the shapes of you. So I can see your shapes of you that you're eating the wrong foods, and Jesus can't eat the wrong. But if there's nothing else but pizza, that's not a sin. See, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm not going to die if I eat the pizza." No, I'm not. No, it's not that way at all. I know the story of a person who was a POW. They're disappearing. The memories of these past things are disappearing. And my mother forced him to eat rice. See, and when he was in the prison camp, he hated that rice. He hated his mother, and so all he got was rice. And if he could have eaten, he could have survived. You know, even the crappy rice. See, many will die, but many a certain strength have a constitution that's different from others, and they survive it. The body is amazing with its immune system and everything. If you don't have a lot of stuff going on in your head, you could survive anything, almost anything, where others wouldn't. See, and so couldn't eat it, even though he was dying. He couldn't eat it. That's it. So you see,
That's what I see, is that you can still eat the pizza and have the same,
yeah. If
I
you invited
can-
me to dinner,
yeah.
I'd eat a little piece of pizza. Not much. I said, if you don't mind me, just a little piece, thank you. See, it won't hurt just once in a while, especially if you don't enjoy it too much. See, it's okay.
It's very easy to get, I'm not saying this is happening, with you, but I'm thinking about my own experience. It's very easy to come to the point of thinking that the food is going to save you, that what you eat, and for
Food
me,
won't save you.
sometimes it's been, I can remember an incidence of just eating the worst food and understanding something deep about myself because I gave up eating right, what I thought was right. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that I don't try to eat right either, or that I don't see the value in it.
It is a
but-
spiritual something or other. I don't know how to pinpoint it, but to eat forbidden foods, they may be necessary one day. As an ex-diabetic, if all there was carbohydrates, what I'd do is eat a little bit at a time. Just not even a mouthful, with it every half an hour or 2 hours. Just a little bit. I'd survive. I wouldn't eat a full meal as you would eat it. I would take that and you know what? I know in my heart that if it comes to that, God would watch over me. See, it's all the way you look at it. It's all the way you see things. And so when I say to you, you must lose weight because you'll get diabetes. You must lose weight because it's a sin to eat with such pleasure. It is. It's the great. It has. The trouble is this is very hard to say. So I'm going to fumble a whole lot to say what I'm trying to say, but the sins of the fathers go from generation to generation. Through one man's death, here it is. For the one man, what was the sin? He disobeyed. You could eat anything you wanted in the garden. And one of those things you could eat in the garden, philosophically, we're having a philosophical beginning here. Even that tree over there, that's the tree of eternal life. You can eat as much as you want there. Everything in the garden except this one. What do you want? The dark side. Where do you think there's two people? One is man is made before the woman. Man is made before the woman because the order of life comes through the man to the woman, to the children, and to the generations. Otherwise, so therefore what we got is the other way around. The generations come with dark side, operating through every single woman on earth. Unconsciously. living a life with pretty, being attractive, and exploiting the weakness of men, whether they know it or not, whether they mean it or not, and eating your pizza, you can eat it in the right way and in the wrong way. And in both pizza and sex, they're both wrong. And both feel very, very delicious. It gives you a good feeling.
For
It's
a time.
rewarding. Pardon?
For a time,
Just
but
for a
then
life,
no
yeah.
longer.
And then you're going to feel it in the illness, where there are people who, listen, I woke up, let me see, 2 weeks to 3 weeks ago, and I tripped over something and almost pulled my toe off. Now, as a diabetic, the blood was everywhere. And I didn't know that it was it needed stitches, the big toe. But if I was an ordinary diabetic, there wouldn't be any blood there. I had to lose my leg. So I know there are people who continue eating compulsively, even though they know they're going to lose the leg because there won't be any blood there to heal the wound, no matter how small it is. So they have to cut to where there's where the blood is still flowing. So you may have to cut the whole leg off, up to the point where the blood flows. And so, but my blood was flowing fine. Thank God, it's getting better. Stitches, it should have had stitches. It didn't have it. The doctor had to make some compromise, and I watched him do it, and I'm okay. But if I had been a diabetic like everybody else, it could have been dangerous. You don't know how much. You can walk around and not realize how little blood you have in your leg until something happens. And so, but look at the compulsion. You still want to eat the pizzas, even though you know you're dying. Or you don't want to know you're dying. So now the problem isn't the food. It's not the pizza. You could have a pizza. It won't kill you. And you could eat it honestly. Not too much of it. Not eat it to get the pleasure from it. So that will do. If pizzas are all there are, fine. You'll survive. It's not a sin to eat all pizza. It would be a sin though. What was that? Oh, the cross fell. That's no, it's all right. Don't do it.
Oops.
See, where was it working with this? See, so you understand it is intent. Intent. So she got it right. Yeah. I know that you're going to say something decent.
What I realize more and more when I talk to different people, and even looking at my own life, it's the way we're looking at everything. When you're hypnotized, and that's a big thing to fully realize that you are hypnotized. You're walking around.
Have you been hypnotized most of your life? Yes or no?
Yes, and it
And
still,
this-
it still exists.
you-
It still
let me-
exists.
Huh?
Okay? I have moments of being awake. And in those moments, what I realized is my whole relationship with everything, everybody, everything is reinforcing the hypnosis by making me feel good in all of my wrongness.
Now hold it right there. Let's say the apple was the reason for the first two and the misery and suffering. But the food that was forbidden is food. Remember, all the food off the trees you could freely eat. So, except that one. So, at that moment forward, you cannot. Your Adam is encompassed with a hypnotic state towards his woman, wife, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and after that, everything he puts in his mouth, no matter what, even when he drinks from his mother's breast, it's food. All food will kill you. If you eat it, you know what? Things like this go on. A child needs to nurture from a mother's breast. The Indians, American Indians, the women would tease, not give the child and let it cry. See? Not let it cry for what reason? Because to frustrate the child. When you frustrate the child, then you feed it and reward the frustration to make him a brave.
Angry.
Yeah,
Angry.
make him a brave. That's all she needs to do.
He's not brave, he's just angry.
Yeah, and so therefore, if a woman is angry with her husband, which he usually is because he's using her, or he's a weakling or a bully, that's all there is, weaklings and bullies. Assuming most of you are weaklings and bullies. And you can speak for yourself without me being rude to you. You could be rude to yourself if you don't mind.
No, I see myself being a bully with my wife,
That's it.
okay? And then what it does, it tempts her to judge me and hate me.
Yeah.
And we got a sick relationship.
Yeah. And it's not her fault. It's yours.
But
It's because you don't know what a man is. But you don't know what a man is because she doesn't understand not to give you herself because it looks like you have a need for her. See? She doesn't, no woman, very few women understand what it is. Look, let me say it this way. Most women in America are whores. I'm sorry, but most of them are. And most men are whoremongers. Are you listening, America? If you flinch, it's you. You pig. Now, did your father ever say that? No, because he did it. Your grandfather, go back in your family tree and see what kind of tree it is. No, I'm not blaming you that you're a pig for love, for pleasure, for drugs. If it isn't one thing, it becomes another. When the food doesn't do you any good, because you have to eat to live, and especially a lot of drunks can actually live off of wine. You get enough energy for wine, and they're so sozzled, they got all that alcohol. They can sit in the wet and not get pneumonia because they got that alcohol as an immune system, so to speak.
For what it may be worth, I've been married to this lady for 58 years. You just described our relationship in detail, okay? And I'm at an age where I can't have sex anymore. The body doesn't work.
Good
And
Lord.
something sets in to you, because once that libido energy is gone, if you become objective enough, you could see it was a whole foundation between a man and all the women. That's all there was that libido energy.
Hallelujah. There's no love, right?
None. Just use and abuse.
Giving a feeling and getting a feeling. The woman gets a feeling, she thinks she's being loved, but she is being screwed, right?
Yeah,
Pardon the expression.
and to keep that
Am I pardoned?
Yeah.
Thank you.
to keep that feeling going, you have to promote a whore in a woman, all right? And when she
Exactly.
rebels, then you go find another whore, all right, and you cheat on her.
No disrespect.
No.
No
This is what goes
disrespect,
on.
ladies. Okay.
But everything you said is absolutely true.
And nobody wants to hear it,
I
right?
know. They might not believe you, but I've lived. This is my life. I've lived that exactly.
I know you're a dirty old man. I've known that.
No,
I still love you.
You know what happens? I've been fortunate enough, and it's happening more and more, that I love my wife like my daughter, okay? Which is a blessing.
If I said it, you might not want to believe because it's ridiculous. It doesn't seem real. I say, as you walk off into the sunset, see, then it does come. The woman becomes the daughter of the husband, and the husband becomes the father to the daughter, even though my daughter can talk to me as respectfully. but talk to me the way she wants, anytime, except being rude. That's all. So I'm looked at, my wife should look at me as her father at this stage. She's still a little girl fighting, protecting her father on me, because father was a guy, you know, who would sleep in her bed with other women and stuff like that. And but then she could say all she had, the only father she had to protect him from his own stupidity and do the best he could. And she put me, I'm in that role ever since, secretly, that's the hypnotic state. That has kept her getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I get stronger, 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 stronger through all the trials and tribulations, including all 63 years. I'm strong. You see, no matter what. See, so you and I are beginning to understand each other, correct?
Absolutely.
You see, so you are the father to your daughter.
Yeah,
and Eve was the daughter made into a wife. Something changed. Listen, the minute he ate the food, what did he see? He saw he was naked. What do you think he saw? Do I have to say it?
No.
Okay. What are you going to do with it? Do I have to tell you that?
but you know,
Do I sound like a preacher?
Boy, I'm gonna go sit in the car.
Hi, Roy. I've been married more than once. I've been married a few times. And the one thing that I have realized since trying to get closer to who I really am, and through the stillness of being able to hear what God would really like to say to me instead of my own voice telling me all the time,
That's life.
is that all the time, every time I was married, I was always looking for love. But the love that I was really looking for, that I see now, was God's love.
That's
and I
right.
could not ever find it in the person that I would be with. I'd ask them, why do you love me? And all they could say was, well, you're this and you're that, you know. But no one ever
Nothing works.
satisfied me because they weren't really loving
So
me.
how do you feel this minute?
This minute, I feel very happy because of the fact that I am now wanting more to see the human side of me, which is controlled by my senses, and see the spiritual side of me. Because if I can once get rid of that part of me that wants to hear or be touched or talked to in a certain way or loved, that isn't what I really want, that I want to be in the presence of God.
Now, wouldn't it be nice if a man understood that and
Yes.
would be that way?
It would have been nice if I would have
He
too.
just became that way just recently. I haven't seen him for a long time, many years past since he first came. And then he began to show up more and more, and he began to realize more and more. But this man here is a businessman. I'm sure he doesn't need any money. So he survives very well in the world. Mm-hmm. He's going to hell just the same. Basically speaking.
yes.
Misery and suffering. Nothing in the world can satisfy what you're looking for. You have to find it to give it to be the agent of change to your wife.
It's amazing what happens between us. There will be a moment in the morning or whatever, we'll sit down and have a cup of coffee, and my mouth will open up, and I'm amazed what's coming through it. And I'm finally giving her something to respect. Okay, before
That's
it
why
was
she's
all
here.
verbal bullshit. All right?
That's all
But
right.
there is a deep meaning, and she thanks me for this is what this woman here has been looking for,
Lady.
and my wife is finally getting it after 58 years of going through hell.
But there's something good in you that stayed the course.
I
You didn't divorce. and looking for some other.
She had stay power. I gave her every reason. She had stay power.
Well, that is a
and now
beautiful
she's
thing.
getting the blessing where a lot of women, when they get all these reasons to leave, she did not leave.
Got it. And you get it too. You got the same problem. You have a good little girl in there, which I love. See, but because she's my wife, Roy Masters' wife. People always ask, "What is it like to be married to Roy Masters?" Very painful, very disturbing, because she has me on a pedestal one minute and cursing me the next, because she doesn't know how to put that space between. I put the space between me and her. I can do it in here. We're not talking about physical space. It's some other kind of space you know nothing about. So I can put that space, but in her insecurity, she wants to be close, to suck on myself, to unconsciously set me up to fail. But giving her love that isn't love, it's called sex, or compliment her, and buy her nice things, to whatever goes with it, all the trimmings of love, which is love.
Okay, but I have a question too. If you're looking to God now, because my husband hasn't had that revelation yet, so I need to get that same clarification from God. But I'm also have to live with my husband. So,
I didn't know you were married.
oh yes. And so Kevin and I live our lives.
How long you been married?
Well, we're in an interesting situation. We were married 10 years, had 4 kids, got divorced for 5 years. I remarried because Kevin was unfaithful, and then we remarried each other again, and we've been back together for 16 years.
Oh,
So it's all...
it's all forgiven.
it's all forgiven. It is. You know what? It's all just... But my point is, my mom has found the love from God to sustain her.
Yes.
Well, I still want the love of God to sustain me, but I'm also with Kevin, who's human, and he isn't at that place yet.
It doesn't matter.
So it's okay to just still be the woman who's going to...
No,
Have a relationship.
God will give you the power that the man can't give you. I assure you. And if you look at me, what do you see? You see an ordinary human being. I'm an ordinary human being like anybody else. What's different about me and most men is that I have something moving through me as something is starting to move through him. Just because you're a woman does not mean to say that if you have a difficult husband and a mean husband, if you she stayed the course. That helped him. See, that is a beautiful thing. Actually, my wife stayed the course, but she didn't need to stay the course because I've always been trying to tell her that for so long. But she tends to be stuck with it because of the inability to grasp that she's married to a saint, in a sense, in her mind. See, she is that, so she feels this. She gets the feeling of being married to me is everything, and it isn't. Because she has a conflict between me not being like other men. At a certain point, we had our kids, 5 kids, that's the end of it, right? So, I've had sex more than once. I've got 5 kids, okay?
It's not wrong to engage in, there's children in here, so I'm going to be very careful with my words, but to engage in that and still find
Exactly.
an okayness with that, because
It's like eating
it is
pizza.
like having a nice piece of cake. I mean, obviously.
No, understand that your relationship with your husband, if your husband, this is not an easy question, but your husband is wrong or too hungry for you, you see, there is a way of talking to him or accommodating. It's like eating the forbidden fruit, the sex thing, accommodating without hating him, because it's the act is natural for you if you have a good attitude without hate.
Well, I think that's
Or
part of...
you could say no.
But I don't want to. So what's
Let's
happening?
discuss it then a little bit.
Okay, because
So
I'd
I can
like to
put it,
share with,
I can pin it.
well, I'd just like to share, for a long time, we didn't have relationships for months, 4 months. So now, our relationship, I'm kind of sorry that I'm sharing this, but, so now it's like twice a week. I don't know how else, I'm just going to be blunt. But I feel like I'm not necessarily being used because I'm allowing something that I like too. It's not just that he's saying, I'm taking
Okay.
this from you, baby. I'm like, well, you could have it. You don't have to take it from me because it's
Okay,
nice for two
I
both
get
of
that,
us.
I
Okay.
get that. So, I have no argument with that,
Okay.
you see. He's not a bad man.
No,
You married him again. There's
correct.
something good in him. Not perfect.
Yes.
It's cool, okay? Simple. You're not the forbidden thing, it's your husband. But there will come a time, how old are you now?
52,
How old is he?
53.
Yeah. Well, there'll be time when it gets less and less.
There was that time.
Less important. Less and less important. You can't imagine Grandpa and Grandma shuffling in the grave, can you?
Well, I can in this moment.
Well, I got a good phrase. I mean, it doesn't look right, does it? It needs to be father and daughter, doesn't it?
Okay.
Eventually.
Yes,
The libido goes away.
right.
It's not that important anymore for a man. If it is important, then you're in trouble.
But you know what, Roy? It's almost like we were that awfulness. He was the tiger and I was the whore. We played our parts. We did all that bad stuff. We had bad thoughts towards each other and we were wrong with each other. And it's almost, it's not like it's perfect or anything, but there's more of a willingness from me to share with him something.
Yes.
We're sharing something. It's not, he isn't taking it from me, and by me sharing, I'm
No,
also receiving.
We've already passed that already.
Right.
That's all kosher.
So now you just go through it, have at, and then you're done at a certain age. You just will
Yeah,
get past.
but it's like the pizza. You don't make such a big thing out of it.
Yeah.
See? In other words, you eat the pizza. Not that you should. It's not a good thing to eat, but you can have a bite every now and then, right?
Sure.
You can have it. None of the foods that are around, all the foods that you shouldn't eat. You can eat all the foods you shouldn't eat, but it isn't wise. If it's all that's available, it's no sin, right?
Correct.
You have to eat out of a can for a while. You say, "Oh, I can't do this because it isn't fresh. It isn't from the tree." And see,
Can I say something to you?
yeah.
Love has no value whatsoever unless you have a situation to practice it. And by being back with him, I don't know him, and I don't know whether you have more insights than him, because he's not here, okay? But if you've been blessed with certain understanding, okay, then he gives, you can look at him two different ways, and if it's colored with resentment, that's the end of both of you. But if you look at it as an opportunity to love him because of what he doesn't realize, okay, because he will trespass, but it's not a deliberate action. He just doesn't realize what's going
You know what
on.
love is.
But it gives you an opportunity to love him, and I mean by that endless patience, even in intimacy, because you see, it's not the physical thing, it's the spiritual thing that goes on in that act.
Correct.
Okay? And what he's still deriving something, and the more you realize it, there's more opportunity to love him, because he doesn't see it, but you do, all right? And it isn't, you don't have to pull back physically, you just have to take the spice out of it. Because I've been to that mountain
That's
many, many
perfectly said.
times, and it's not us guys, it's not the physical part we want. It's the support for our wrongness. It's the comfort that we're coming back to that we got from our mothers. That's
But
what we
let me
keep
stop
getting
there
from
for a
your
second.
bodies.
Stop there for a second. Is because at that moment, if your husband, if you are gracious like that, and you see the good in him, okay, there is there. You've come back full circle. You married him again, right? So there's something there. You know it. Otherwise, you wouldn't have done it. You're intuitive. You're here. I know you're intuitive. And so you're asking this $64,000 question, see? And he's right about that. He doesn't have to be a perfect man. He has a certain decency in there, and he doesn't know as much as you do. Every woman knows as much about God as man does, except she knows her role. But she serves the man as man serves God. I'm a servant to him, and she's a servant to me, and my children serve the mother who loves the father who loves the Creator. It's a divine order. Otherwise, you got it backwards. You got the dark side in the woman, running free and eating up the men, so to speak. But it's not with you. It's not the case. With your kind of woman, eventually he will sense your accommodation, your sweetness, your love. And even if it's a pleasure, do not pleasure too much. See? It isn't love. You're giving love, but the pleasure is not the love.
Well,
It's how it's given.
There's something you're still getting there that's not healthy
And he'll
for the
wake
both
up.
of you, but you're waking up to it.
And he will wake up to it. One day he won't wake up and feel uncomfortable. And there'll be something about her. Let me just change the subject to make a point. The relationship between man and woman could be bad or good. The relationship I could have with my friend here is if he got angry, I got angry. If I get angry, he gets angry. If he gets angry, I get angry. One of us is going to rule the other. See? We will kill each other. No, but the thing is, if he has potential, which you know your husband has, correct? That's why you love him. Okay, he's not perfect, right? You know as much as he does, but he should be the originator of it. So basically, you're not going to play with it. Since you know, now if he's a swine, you really need not to give him anything, or if you yield to it. But even if you, now I'll change that if you don't mind. Even if your husband is a monster and you're on some treasure island somewhere, make it difficult as possible in your head, and he demands from you the sex, and you don't hate him. You know, it'll be a very strange feeling that man's going to start having very, very quickly. First of all, he'll get worse. And then he'll feel guilty. And the guilty will look to you to nurture it. But you could only nurture it if you're hateful and you're guilted into giving in. Hate creates guilt, and guilt makes you want to appease. And appeasement supports the wickedness, and he'll kill you.
You want to know something?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, and something really cool just happened to me, because I did hate Kevin for a long time, and I forgave him a long time ago, but I see that I wanted Kevin to be my God because I needed love.
That's the mistake. That's the mistake.
I know, but just let me share with you something. And he failed me.
Well, always will.
I know. So.
And you set him up to.
I know, but my point is, now I have God's love and God's forgiveness.
Yes.
So I can see that I always wanted him to help me so much. And it's okay that I didn't get it, and I got it from God. And now I can see that I need to be to him what I wanted him to be to me. And what a sweet thing, because
it is sweet.
If I get to show anybody the love to be forgiven, to just know that there's love, God's love, pure.
So therefore you don't hold anything against anybody, not especially
Right.
your husband.
Right.
Yes.
And that's that's where I'm at in my life. It's just, please let me be loved. Please let me know God's love so I can just emanate that to someone
Yeah, you
as much
see?
as I so much needed it to be given to me. And it has been now. I have had a glimpse of that love. I don't know if I'm making sense
No,
anymore, so
you
I'll
make
stop.
it. No, it's making perfect sense. See, in other words, a woman knows, an intuitive woman has the same intuition as a man. And if everything was perfect, which isn't when you get married, it becomes a trial and a trial. And very few people cannot find that way. And God bless those who do find that way. And some do not get married because you can't, in corrupt societies, you can hardly find a real woman, if you're a man, etc., etc. And so what you're really saying is that the love that you give it with, see, is real. In your case, your husband is not a bad person. But even if he was a bad person, you could still give graciously and not play like, oh, how wonderful it is to have sex with this man and make him feel better. You do this without, you can feel something going on, but you don't have to glorify in the feeling like the piece of, oh, I love this is delicious. Oh, isn't it wonderful? I must have some more, right? See, I don't know if I made it too.
You are, because, we don't need to elaborate, there's other little people in the room, but I do understand. And I think the part that's just so cool.
It's temporary. It's just a temporary feeling, isn't it?
Well, and the sad part is you can get it from anybody.
Yeah,
So, I
yes.
mean, there's nothing special. You're not anything
That's
greater
right.
than anybody.
That is well said.
Right.
That is well said. We get a lot of wisdom here today.
Roy, just pass the mic, please.
Look how much better when people talk than I talk. Look how much wisdom there is in this room. And I don't have to say a word now. You can just run amok.
I don't know what I'm going to say, but I feel I'm an angry, angry woman, and I have been for a long time.
But I could tell you because you're so quiet and so friendly and so artificial. I know it's there. I've always known it there.
I don't want to be like
Very
this,
quiet people are very angry people.
but I don't really want to be like this.
Well, no, well then, why can't you give up your hostility? Who do you hate? Why don't you get it done with?
But when we
No, it's no but. Who do you hate in your life? Get it over and done with.
well, it's not with my
You know, you have
husband.
never spoken to me about it. No, you just come to my lectures and say nice things.
I was always angry with my husband. He never wanted
Is
me
he
to
dead?
be...
Is he dead?
He's dead.
How long ago?
About 30 years.
Yeah, well, you're in the grave with him. That's where you are. You feel guilty, right?
I do, but I wanted to say bye to him before he died or say something to him, but I never
What could you
did.
say to him? You killed him.
But he never
Is
wanted...
that right? Can somebody speak up for me?
I'll speak up for you.
Thank you.
I'm her son-in-law,
Yes.
but I'm now the target of her husband. The hate she had for her husband is towards me.
Say it again.
The hate that she had toward her husband has been transferred to me
That's where
because
you
I
had your
criticize
exercise. That's where
her.
you had your exercise, right? Exercise. That's what became.
Well, but this is before that, because I had that before I knew her, before I
Yeah.
got married,
Oh, I see.
before I married her daughter.
Yeah.
But the beauty for me is that she is bringing up in me, because I say, wait a minute, that's confusing. Wait a minute, why did you do that? Why did you say that? She said, well, I didn't really say that. I said this. I said, no, you said that. And I only
It's a
said,
game-
I
it's a
corrected
game
you, and now
everybody
you're,
plays.
it's all a confusion.
Yeah.
That is how she learned to deal with her husband. And the confusion that he had drove him so crazy that he said, well, I'm not going to let you do this, and I'm not going to let you do that, and don't hang around with your crazy family, and that, because he was getting confused by the confusion in her. She took it as like he's limiting me, he's restricting my freedom.
And that's
I
exactly
never
what she does.
realized that.
And I'm actually doing that inadvertently to her.
Yeah.
The beauty is this, I'm doing it as a child, and she's bringing out in me as a defenseless child, she's confusing me, and I see little bits of leftover from my childhood in me kind of floating up. So I'm having these little symptoms. The other day, I was working in a yard and fixing things that needed to be fixed, and I heard a theme from a TV show I had seen 2 weeks before in my head, which never happens. And I thought, that's odd. And then I'm walking, and all of a sudden I feel a pain in my heart, like I'm having a heart attack, just a small one. And it happened 2 and 3 times. And I realized it's all connected to motherhood and to what mothers do to their sons. And they confuse their sons. And when their son says, wait a minute, what did you mean? The mother answers with impatience, I meant this. And they add a little bit. And it's not enough. And the child wants to say, wait a minute, did you really mean this? But he's afraid to because of the anger there. He's said, don't go any farther. You've angered the God. And when we give in to that anger and don't ask the next obvious question, we become changed. Our manhood becomes changed, and it becomes mother-centered. And now the rest of our life is either conforming to mother's anger or rebelling against her anger, which is all the same thing. So I'm not dealing with the sex now. I'm dealing with the mother-son relationship. Even though my mother's dead, I have another mother. They're all the same. And it's all about confusing what you see.
No disrespect.
No disrespect. They're all the same. And the neatest thing is I don't have to fight it to be strong. I have to be innocent. I have to be no defense at all. Simply watch. And if I say something, I say it. And if I don't, I wait. And if it starts to pull some weakness out of me, I watch that. And I don't do anything.
The real beauty for me is that my mother's confused me my whole life. And now my husband is here to stand in, and I can see, I saw my role of how I fed that in her, and I'm not doing it anymore. It's so like I'm on the sidelines, whereas I was in the front line before, getting it all the time, and now he's taken it. So it's beautiful for me. He's the father that I didn't have with her. So it's just real sweet.
She feels defended by me, but I feel defenseless, and I'm defended by my Father in heaven.
Yeah.
And I watch,
But
and it looks like I'm in control, but I'm not in control.
What you said, you feel defenseless. You don't feel anything. So the word is.
I've
is
given
mute.
up my old defenses,
Yeah.
and I'm standing there
You're your own
defenseless
I got it,
because I
right.
know he's, whatever it is, it's going to be, and it's okay.
See, he feels nothing.
Yeah.
The defense is not feeling anything.
Yeah.
Because if you feel anything, love or hate, you're
Then
finished.
It's your defense.
It's just it's the food.
So when I
of the
see
wrong.
by what happens that there's energy working through me, but it's not mine.
Yes.
I don't feel anything. I feel empty, but
Now,
not
do you
really.
understand? Now, here is something that now becomes a national way of thinking something. Because that same thing between the woman and the man is going on with Obama and the people. He is a woman. He understands a woman. When a man becomes so feminine, he's cleverer and smarter than a woman.
And always wants to confuse anyone who sees the truth.
And it appeases the people, appeases the women. He loves the women as women want to be loved as a president. Goodbye, America. Nice knowing you. You gave the complete answer. Now, when are you going to live and lay down death?
Now I look towards Charles as my husband, and I do. And I ask him questions and things, and he has been helpful. And I look to you.
But,
But you always try to confuse me.
see, but,
I don't realize that.
I know,
And I
but,
tell you you're confusing me. And I tell you you're confusing me, and I tell you how you did it, and then you repeat it as though that's what you said originally. It
Yeah.
would drive me crazy.
my wife
except-
does exactly
Yeah.
the same thing. That's what it's like to be married to Roy Masters. To try to confuse and die trying. Did you hear what I said?
Mm-hmm.
She's sitting in the audience. Try to confuse me And but the word try is not a good word. Confuse me and die. But you can't. That's what causes death. Because if you look at the face of goodness and decency and try to confuse it, I'm not your little child anymore. I've got what I lost when I was a kid. And you better take a look at the game you're playing, because you'll die from it. I will live from it. I live of challenge.
She's perfecting you.
She's perfecting me and self-destructing herself. See? Now, it's the same truth if you take the whole country and don't hate the hurter. That does not mean to say you can't defend yourself. Jesus, cut off, one of the disciples of Jesus cut off the chief rabbi's ear. He put it back on again. But it carried swords. And you're going to need those swords, for a while, because until you find what Jesus is given us all. The minute you find what I'm trying to tell you, you see, well, we're trying to speak. Well, the minute you find it, only takes seconds to find it. Fractions of a second. Wow, I saw that. You don't want to see it. Something it doesn't want you to see it. And so, until you find that, you are going to be the cause of war. Because ISIS is looking at us as a reprobate country. And we are. And they don't look at their own faults, own wickedness. They love the way you are. They love you because you're weak and feeble as a country. You're asking for war. But if you are what we are talking about, where you should be, men and women in the right way, relate each other, and in that order. Once that order is restored and you elect the right kind of teacher, leader, it will. Because if you're not, you get the kind of government you deserve. That's what we got. Twice. Fool me once, shame on you. You know the whole story. Show me twice, shame on America. Now we're going to have a Clinton. Mrs. Clinton is a bag of, I don't know what it is. I can't find the words for it. They're awful.
You told me she looked like a bag lady.
Yes, that's it. I don't know what a bag lady is, but...
Can I say something? I don't know her name. Edna, can I say something to you? A spirit in you was part of the problem that killed off your husband. And now you're sitting here and you're wallowing in your own sorrow.
Right on the money.
And this is you are given.
Hey, you're gonna sit
you are
here for-
blessed with an incredible opportunity. You don't deserve it. But if you'd look at things a little bit different with your son-in-law here, okay, and with his wife that had to live with that spirit in you and the destruction, you have a blessing here if you would look at it as a blessing. And this man not playing a game with you is going to help you see what's operating through you. Okay? You have to see it because it's in control of you and it destroys everything in your life and it's going to destroy you. Are you listening to me?
Yes.
Okay?
My brother committed suicide. So he was
About time. About time. Come out. By whose name do I say come out? Tell me. Say his name.
I don't know.
Huh?
I think.
What'd she say?
said, I don't know.
By whose name do you think I speak to you?
My God.
Yes, you're Christ, right? You're fine. It's painful, isn't it? It's painful, isn't it? It's good pain. It's bad pleasure, right? Don't you see pleasure makes you worse? And anger makes you need pleasure that makes you worse? And then holding it in, secret judgments, and pretending to be loving, and you're not. And you cause harm deep inside, you know it. You try the best to be a better person, but you don't know what better is. That's it. See, you can't cure anybody. You can't fix what's broken. But right, a few moments ago, you were in your husband's grave with him. But you know why Jesus was raised from the dead? There's a lot I could say about that, lots. But for this moment, it's simply this, that if you believe him, that he's the Son of God, and he is good, unlike men, he's the man, what is in him, what was in him, it should be in all men, but wasn't to be. Through one man's sin, and death through sin spread through the human race. Now, if you go back to the beginning, and God makes man and then a woman, and then gives them a choice, don't you think he knows that God would know that the man would fail? And if he built 1 million of them, it all failed because he's a brand new person. And he's going to be tempted. And he's going to fail because he hasn't got enough experience. You give him the choice, and he can't help but make a bad one. See that? He can't force you to make a good one. He has to let you make a bad one. It's going to be always the same way. It's like an innocent kid. So, what you've inherited, all of you have inherited, his legacy, hell on earth. From generation to generation, it never changes. The stories are just the same: murder, misery, wife killing husband, and wife eating husband. See? The children and the confusion of the parents passing on to the children who confuse their children, or confuse them with, and even confuse them that the love they give is love, when it's really manipulation and seduction. See, possessiveness. See, I don't want to go into all of that too much, but the bottom line is, now here's the beauty of it. Now that you're living in hell, now everything's getting worse in your life. Whether you're living in America, it's getting worse. So the conditions around you are going to get worse and worse, and so sooner or later you're going to start panicking, and nothing. The whole country is beginning to fall apart. There's got to come a time, as Bible says, that there's going to be a war that'll end all wars for thousands of years, right? This is it. This is that moment. What they call it. What they call the end of it. Yes, Armageddon. This is it. It's exactly as the Israelites, Jewish people, got their country back. Exactly as predicted. There's a spiritual warfare. There's nothing going to happen by accident. We want God to be our leader. But first of all, we must look to him, because we are born in a broken state, and none of you have ever done anything wrong. It's the dark side that's been inside you thinking it was you, and then telling you got to fix it. See that? And try hard to fix it, and excel if you can. But some people excel. He excels. He is wealthy, in my opinion. He knows how to play with the world. But then there's those who give up and die. So they go down and die. He goes up and dies. See, you can't win either way. The more you get, the more you want, and the more you get, the higher you get, and the lower you sink. Every high is a new low. See, it's a lie. He's finally seen it. So here it is for all of you. Everybody has to sooner or later see it. See? Or refuse. And play the old game. Confusion with your husband, confusion with your children, go into the wrong kind of friends. It spreads. Eating the wrong kinds of foods and drinking the wrong... You can have a glass of wine, you don't have to get drunk. See? Everything moderation. What's wrong with that? See? So, the bottom line is that you were forgiven before you were born. You only have to have someone tell you that who is worthy of speaking it to you, who is not like you at all, not like your husband, not like Adam. See? So he has to come down into this world and suffer like us and prove that there's such a thing as resurrection. In other words, you couldn't kill him. But he's saying there's another body within the body, another self within the self. Which one do you want to pop out when you die? See? Did I say it clearer? Yes. Okay.
Can I just share, this is just something that I saw this morning, and it's just kind of sweet. I saw that God is the leader, and they call Jesus the king, and they call the devil the prince. And the prince can never become the king. Never.
If the king doesn't die.
But because, that's a good fault, because in the daytime, I'm okay, and as soon as my house gets dark, because my husband's out of town 5 days a week, I start to get afraid. And I realize there's no power, but it still scares me. It's trying to scare me.
Well, you're a woman, and you do need the protection of a man, don't you? But I tell you this, that as a real woman, a saved woman, you'd be surprised how much power it gives you that you know not what you have.
Mine's more of spiritual stuff. Mine is, I'm not afraid like someone's going to come into my house. I'm more afraid of the,
What are you afraid of then?
just, I don't know that. Something's going to be there.
That is spiritual.
I know.
That's a spiritual thing. Your faith needs to close up that, and
Say that one more time, please.
the faith needs to be more perfected.
Yes.
There's nothing that will come from you being afraid and fearful. Something is there, present, is there to make you feel that way.
Correct. So there's already,
Something-
the thing that I'm
something in the
afraid that's
room.
going to come is
There's
already
something
there.
in this room. There's something in this room. There's something everywhere you go. You can't find. The spirit of evil has no body. It doesn't have a body, and the only way it can be, it's the fault. I never did believe there was a war in heaven, and the spirits fell, but clearly, exponentially, it can enter a human body. It did it in the very beginning. Something beyond the woman spoke and seduced the man. Not that, which was predestined, because you could make 1 billion men and make the same mistake. So, in a manner of speaking, the only choice that God has, because He cannot make love. I don't mean make love, sex. I mean, He cannot make you love Him. He does. The devil does that. Correct? So it has to happen this way. It's the only way it can happen, is for men to be born of women, and the thing goes on with wars and suffering and sickness until we look for answers, and we must voluntarily seek God in our hearts. And not just, where's God? No, it's just in the heart. Somehow it's in the heart. The heart is crying. And it is not something solid. It's not something tangible. It's not anything you can explain. Do you understand? It's not something you can talk about.
You don't even know that
you don't even know you have
to
it.
cry.
That's right, you don't even know, but you have a sense of there's something wrong with everybody in the world. And you used to judge everybody, now you're looking at yourself. Maybe it's me too. And maybe they've got the same problem as me. See, and they're doing to me what was done to them. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Even those people who were putting nails in his hands and feet, he didn't hate them because they didn't know what they were doing completely, thoroughly and completely. You can't judge anybody. You don't know who's the psychopath. So you don't know who the psychopath is, or the sociopath. You don't. You don't know whether a person who's cruel, or slimy, and slippery, and deceitful, and seductive, you don't know whether it's a sociopath, which is slimy and slippery and cleverly. You know, you trust him more than God. Okay? So, you don't know the difference. So, since you don't know the difference, you don't hate anybody. You just use the opportunity to not hate the hurter. And there's magic starts to grow in you and the whole country. All of a sudden, you know, you just got a little while before the next election. It either will be civil war, martial law, which is the end of America. There won't be an election. See that? End. Or you wake up, beginning a different direction. You're moving, they're backing off, because intimidating you doesn't work anymore. And you're ready to fight. But you're not going to be intimidated to fight. See, I fight because I go at wham. See, I know when to hit, which is rare. In all the years, I haven't done it for years, since I've been in Africa. I took down a 260-pound Olympic guy with muscles. I mean, just like that. And lots of other things. There was a time for that. But slowly but surely, it became unnecessary. I'll finish my discussion with you just with one story. So I have a gate that opens, you know, in my driveway, and it doesn't work. And the person who put it up, you know, promised doesn't deliver. And so it doesn't work. So I don't pay him. And he came down and fixed it again, it still doesn't work. But he came down, and I was in my pajamas and my dressing gown. And I normally carry a pistol when I walk around the house. I do. And, you know, it's always handy. But I really don't need it, in most cases, because I'm sitting there in my pajamas, and he comes in, somebody lets him in, and I only see him, and he starts to be difficult. See, about the bill, and about saying it really works. It still doesn't work after all this. All of a sudden, from behind the scene, jumps a huge guy. She's like and you can't imagine what was coming out of him. I looked at him. I said, "Who are you?" Oh, he's threatening me to kill me. You could see it. If it didn't do what this man says, he's brought him with. He stepped in from behind. Two people came in instead of one. This is how I dealt with it. "Excuse me, if you don't mind, I'm doing business with this gentleman. Please step out of the room." I said, "Please, into the hallway, please. Now go outside." And he was like a lamb. He goes, walks out. Isn't that better than hitting him? Yeah. It's better than killing him. Because I would have shot him right there and then. If he was lunge, but he couldn't. That's the beautiful thing. I'm glad I didn't have one, because it was the same as if I did have one. Because the gun will give you a security. I don't need the gun as security, just as good sense. See, that's all. For my wife, for my children, see, from anybody. See, I could do it for me, but maybe not for them. they could turn to them and torment me with them and give me hard choices. So that's when I used my pistol. I'm a good shot. See, I've been in the military. So now, have we clarified everything now? How do you feel? You feel better now? This doesn't bother you? Okay, good. Well, I just say one more thing and say there's lunch ready, such as it is. I know this is a potluck thing. It's nice of you to come, and it would be nice if you could bring somebody with you. You know what's nice about it? It means that you're effective in you're effective in your social activities. That's all. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, remember, we're going to have a seminar in Los Angeles, July the 5th. And what's the name of the place? Concourse, yes. Yeah, you call my office, 800-877-3227. Business hours, West Coast time, that's all. Thank you for your support. I do hope you'll send some support for my work. I'm a young man. I'm not driving the best of cars. I drive old cars. I love them. I always make a profit, so it proves I'm still Jewish. I didn't have to become a Christian to become Christian because Jesus is still Jewish. and if you believe in him, instead of being in the grave with the person you hate, you rise from the grave with someone you love. Thank you very much.